Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Tonight, we will headline a player from both the volleyball team and the women's basketball team that have had a huge impact on their team's success thus far.
We will also take a look into how the women's soccer team is adjusting with their new head coach and more.
So get ready, Marquette Nation, because the Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Slam dunk! Oh, that's a poster.
Live from the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down!
Hello, everyone. I'm Kristen Parisi.
And I'm Ava Mayers.
The women's basketball team is having another strong season this year as they are one of the top teams in the Big East once again.
It has been a total team effort in pushing the Golden Eagles to being a top team in the conference.
Marquette clinched the number 2 seed Wednesday night after defeating their Big East foe DePaul 85-71. Tyler Peters has more.
What started as a season of uncertainty has now turned into a season of success. Marquette women's basketball clinched the number 2 seed in the Big East tournament after defeating their I-94 rival DePaul Wednesday night. The team looks to use this momentum heading into the Big East tournament.
I think we just have a chance to play extremely free and just get after it with DePaul and with Connecticut. So it's very exciting. You want to be in these games. So it's very exciting to finish up our season like this.
The women have won 11 out of 12 games away from the Al McGuire Center. It's only appropriate that their season will end on the road.
It's a mindset. We between the coaches and ourselves, just getting us prepared. Understand that things might not go your way on the road, or you're gonna have to deal with adversity. It's we practice that a lot, and it's like how can we continue to push through? How can we stay together when we push through? When that adversity does hit, how do we continue to get better? And I think that's just our mentality as road warriors. Coach definitely harps on us with that, and it's just how do we buy into that and continue to be successful on the road.
Monday's game against Uconn will be the team's 3rd game in 7 days, something you don't see often in the regular season.
It really prepares us for the tournament of just going back to back to back. In a normal season, we try and simulate that with our non-conference games or, who you play back to back, and we've had a crash course in it this year.
Duffy's message to the team is simple.
Have fun when we can, because obviously with the COVID protocols and everything, it's hard just to have normal fun for them as college kids.
I'm Tyler Peters, Marquette Wire Sports.
And now we bring in John Laizzi for more analysis about this special squad. John, welcome back.
It's great to be back, Kristen.
So let's kick it off. Before the season started, the team was projected to finish towards the top of the Big East, and they have done just that. What has been the difference this season and between this season and last season, knowing that they were coming in projected to be ranked 9th?
I think, to be honest with you, I don't think a lot has changed because of how this team just holds themselves. They've been using this underdog mentality again this year because they knew that their postseason last year was taken away from them in the NCAAs because of COVID. But the biggest reason and the biggest difference is that their bench is becoming more of a role in their success this year. Marquette's bench is really deep this year. We got Liza Carlin, Taylor Validae coming off the bench, Antoinette Walker getting a couple minutes as well. But that is helping them replace no Izzy Spingola from the 3-point line. Marquette, not a great 3-point shooting team this year, but they're getting the points from their bench, which is really, really huge for them, and just the rebounding part as well.
Yeah, their bench has been huge, and there have been players, obviously Selena Lott, Jordan King, Lauren Van Clunen, but who are some other players that you have believed that have taken a huge leap from last year to this year?
Well, one of those players I just mentioned a few seconds ago, and that's sophomore guard Taylor Validae. She's been a big part of Marquette's bench, but she's a part of Marquette's DNA from getting the steals, the assists, and even the big buckets at times. And we're seeing the glimpse of Taylor Validae, what we expected from her last season heading into her first year. And the reason for that is because she was recovering still from an ACL injury last year. I've never personally experienced that injury, but from what I know, it's a really tough recovery.
Yeah.
And for it to be at the end of her high school career made it a little bit more difficult. But she's finally getting herself in the system for Megan Duffy.
Yeah, and just like Claire Cafis is too. I mean, she's jumped up from last year to this year. But also senior Selena Lott and Lauren Van Clunen are the team's leading scorers this season. How important is it for role players to step up during this final stretch?
It's really huge, and Selena Lott and Lauren Van Clunen are a big part to Marquette's success and their offense. Lott averaging 16-plus points per game with a Marquette win. Lauren Van Clunen has scored in double digits more with less than 4 times this season. So she scored in that. But for Marquette, the role players of Chloe Murata, Cameron Taylor, and Jordan King are going to be really, really big for their success if they want to make a nice big run in March, because they know their opponents are going to try to stop Lott and Van Clunen from scoring.
Yeah, and you mentioned Lauren Van Clunen, such a great player and such an important part to this team. And she's known as the grandma. She's a redshirt senior. So what has she been doing this season that has been so dominant?
I think for her, it's just that she's using all of her skills and using them to her advantage. Her versatility is what makes her one of the best forwards in the Big East. Assistant coach Justine Ratterman told me this morning when I was talking to her, and I agree with Coach. And you see her from finding the players down by the perimeter. She can take the long jumper. She can drive to the paint, draw the foul. But guess what? She can even shoot the 3.
Yeah.
And that's something that she's brought to her game this year. She really worked on that coming into this season, and it's really benefiting Lauren Van Clunen, who is very close from scoring 1,000 in Marquette career.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep following it, hoping that she can reach that big milestone for 2. So coming up, the team has its rematch against Uconn. They saw a rematch against DePaul earlier in the week. They were able to come out victorious. What changes do they need to make in order to come out victorious against Uconn on Monday?
To be honest with you, Kristen, I don't think Marquette is that far away from beating a team like Uconn. We've seen this Marquette team grow a lot since the beginning of February when they suffered those 2 losses to Uconn and DePaul. They're on a 5-game winning streak, a big win yesterday in the Windy City against DePaul. But in order to beat Uconn either on Monday night or potentially the Big East championship game, they're going to have to get better defensively, and that's easy to say, but they gave up too many easy shots. They're going to know that Paige Beckers and Nika Mule are going to score for the Huskies, but they got to get Selena Lott going. Last time when these 2 teams played in Milwaukee, Selena Lott was nowhere to be found in Marquette scoring. I know we were on the call for that one, so it's going to be big to get her involved, but the depth is going to be really important as well.
Yeah, and this is going to be such a great maybe glimpse of the Big East title game. But I want to thank you, John, so much for coming and being on the show. But when we come back, we'll take a look at both the women's soccer and volleyball teams. So don't go anywhere. Golden Eagle Sports Report, we'll be right back.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah. Hey Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove. You told me not to do drugs. You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
Welcome back to Golden Eagles Sports Report. Once again, I'm Ava Mares.
And I'm Kristen Parisi. It's just 2 weeks into the new season, and the women's soccer team seems to be adjusting well under new head coach Frank Pelaez. The Golden Eagles are already 2-0 with 3 other exhibition wins.
Pelaez returned to Marquette to take over for Marcus Roders, who stepped down after 24 seasons as head coach.
A new head coach means a fresh start for the program, and as I found out, the players are already optimistic about where their program is heading.
Play for your sister, play for each other. That's what senior forward Kylie Sprecher said new coach Frank Pelaez is preaching as the team's new motto. Last January, Pelaez was introduced as the new head coach for the Marquette women's soccer program after Marcus Roders stepped down after 24 years as the team's head coach. Coming into the season, Pelaez spoke in January about how the culture of the team is the most important thing that his players need to adjust to.
I'm trying to get them to adhere or challenge themselves on the new culture, on the standard of practicing, on the standard of being coachable.
Although change during the pandemic has been a hard adjustment for everyone, Sprecher and the rest of her teammates feel that the new coaching staff has been a positive change to the program and to the team's culture.
But it's been a very positive change for everyone, and I think it's been very motivating on both ends. Like, they want to do their best to make us better, and then we all are trying our best to play for each other, but play for them and show that we are absorbing everything that they're bringing that's very much new and different to what we're used to.
Being a senior, Sprecher knows how important it is for the team and for the future to set the example and the standard for what the coaches expect.
I think the big thing is 2, 3, 4 years down the road, they're ingraining this into what they want. So these freshmen coming in aren't going to know anything different than what they've implemented with us. And I think we're just beginning, and we're kind of getting it started, and we're setting the example and the standard right now that coming years to come are going to continue to be built upon.
Already 2 games in, the culture has seen positive adjustments, and the Golden Eagles are ready to surprise a lot of people this season. Kristen Parisi, Marquette Wire Sports.
Now turning our attention to the women's volleyball team.
The squad picked up another win earlier today, defeating St. Louis University 3-1.
The team is currently ranked number 24 in the country, sitting at an overall record of 7-2.
It's a much different looking roster as the team lost many players to graduation last semester.
But there's one senior that's still leading the way for this inexperienced team, and that's Hope Werch. And as Shane Hogan found out in our first installment of the Senior Sit Down, Werch is ready for any challenge.
Senior year should be filled with excitement, memories, and closure. But in 2021, there's no guarantees. And that makes you appreciate the smaller things.
Obviously, we all knew that it was going to be weird coming into this season, and we're just happy to play. I know I'm just happy to play.
Hope Werch, a senior on the women's volleyball team, knew coming into the season that things would be different. But looking back at her time at Marquette, she's proud of what she and her team have accomplished.
I mean, the big time wins that we've had against Wisconsin and BYU always stick out in my head. My freshman year, first game I have ever played, first game of the season, we're playing at Hawaii in a huge crowd. We beat them like they were ranked at that point.
Werch has had an impressive career, playing in over 100 matches and collecting over 900 kills and 900 digs, showing her value on both sides of the ball. But she's not done yet.
If there's one positive about COVID-19, it's that the NCAA is allowing seniors the option to stay for a 5th season.
So I was kind of like, oh crap, I don't know if I can come back, but like, hey, if I can, awesome. And so he was like, yeah, we would love to have you back. So that's kind of why I'm coming back and just trying to finish out my 4 years.
And after that final season in the fall, Werch knows she wants to stay around the game.
I really want to be a college coach. So I'm hoping that after my semester here next fall, I will kind of start to look around to see if anybody with like a grad assistant, a volunteer assistant, try to get kind of my foot in the door, try to get my master's.
Hopefully next fall, there will be fans in the stands to give athletes like Werch that final send-off. I'm Shane Hogan, Marquette Wire Sports.
And to get a closer look at the volleyball program, we would like to welcome in beat reporter Molly Gretzlock. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. So as we just saw that package on Hope, how important has she been for this younger team this season?
Yeah, like she said in that package, she wants to be a coach. And I mean, she has the personality for it. She's got the characteristics for it. When you watch that, how can you not smile? She's just an energetic, kind, lighthearted person. And I've had classes with her, and we've made small talk. And she's just someone that like you want to have around. Like she's someone that has those leader characteristics in her.
Absolutely, and you can just already see that through the package, and I don't even know her, but I agree. And as we know, it has been a difficult season with schedule changes, but the Golden Eagles are 7-2 and ranked number 24. What have been some of their key successes so far?
Yeah, they just got contribution from everyone, ranging from sophomores to seniors. Everyone's just kind of getting in there. Like today we had Hannah Vandenberg with 12 kills and Caitlin Lyons, they're sophomore and seniors, both 12 kills. And it's just kind of shows what that team is doing. And going off of that, we've got the coach, Coach Tice. He's amazing. He's got just amazing characteristics, and he's just a nice coach to have for them too. I remember one time I had a post-game interview, and he was on the bus home from a game actually, and he was talking to me, like he took the time out on the bus, which just amazed me, and just talked about strategies to get better, to get back out there for the next game. And then we're in Wisconsin. It's no secret that Wisconsin's ranked number 1 in volleyball. So I think maybe, does that put a little chip on their shoulder? I think it would. Like it's kind of amazing that we've got 2 nationally ranked top 25 teams in our state. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And next up, we do have Iowa State on Saturday. What does Marquette need to do to pick up another win?
Yeah, just they got to keep doing what they're doing. Everything's coming to place. The stars are aligning, and everyone's just kind of getting that good contribution. And it's just going to be nice. They have to look at it just as another game. Take one game at a time, and then finish out the Big East play next week against Xavier and another team, and they'll just be ready for that postseason. So it'll be nice.
Definitely. Well, my fingers are crossed. And thank you so much for this info, Molly. And when we come back, we will be talking about the men's basketball team and their win over North Carolina. Golden Eagle Sports Report. We'll be right back.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps.
Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
And we are back in Studio 7 as we will discuss the latest surrounding Marquette men's basketball. Joining me on our panel tonight is Matt Yazel, Andrew Muzu, and Sam Marco. Let's get started, guys. Marquette beat North Carolina last night 83-70. What are your takeaways and how significant is it for this team to play against what is considered a program basketball powerhouse in UNC, especially this late in the season?
Yeah, absolutely. This season has created a lot of new opportunities, things we haven't seen before. And for Marquette to be able to travel to North Carolina, get another opportunity at a huge win and come through with that, with how they've been playing in the last month. I mean, they've only beaten Butler in the last month. And for them to travel to UNC and pick up a huge win like this, North Carolina may not be the North Carolina that we're used to this year, a top-ranked team, but they're still, before this game, they were on the bubble, the NCAA tournament. This is a quad one win, which Marquette, they have a couple big ones this year, but they also have a lot of bad losses, and this is a huge win for them. Absolutely. It helps their resume a lot, and maybe if they win the rest of their games, maybe they're a tournament team, but if they were to lose that game and just kind of spiral out, this season wouldn't turn out to be what they want. But this win is a big one for their program, just even if they're not looking at the tournament this year, which, probably not. But even if they're not, this win helps kind of save face of their program a little bit after what we've seen in the last month.
And even before the game even started, I would say that this is huge for the Marquette program as a whole. They may not be the flashiest program in the nation. They're not like a Duke, a Kansas, a UNC, but they are a winning program overall. In the past 10 seasons prior to this one, they've only had one losing season. So they're a winning program. They're known throughout the nation as a really good basketball program, and they have top recruits. And going to the NBA, Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler, Jay Crowder, they have some big names, maybe not in the NBA, but also in the college programs as well, Bo Ellis. So, Marquette is a very well-known program, and I think it speaks to just other schools knowing that, when we play Marquette, we're going to get a good game. And they even played UCLA earlier in the season, so that was a competitive game. I think it really means a lot for this program.
Wait, Adrian, let me cut in for a second. So you say that they're such a well-known team and that they're such a winning program, but Wojo has yet to win a tournament game. So how does he add that to his resume? Would that make him a better coach in your mind, or is it still in the works for how he's doing?
It's definitely in the works. But overall, whether you're Coach Wojo and you're not winning games, it's all about where you come from. You know what I mean? UNC is not having a great season, but they're UNC. You know that they're going to be a powerhouse team. So yes, this team isn't doing really well. And yes, Wojo gets a lot of the blame for it. But I do think that just the name of Marquette, the name of UNC, it's going to be a primetime game.
Yeah, it was just interesting for me. Usually Marquette versus North Carolina, I think it's a huge game. But I was watching it and I was like, how much does this really mean? Coming into the game, Marquette really didn't have much to lose if they would have lost the game last night. Good thing they did win. It gives them a little confidence going on to their next game. But honestly, I like what they did with the program, scheduling their game. They would have had 10 days off. You don't know how rusty they would have been. So good for Marquette and North Carolina to schedule the game overall. But I honestly didn't think Marquette had much to lose So maybe that's why they won, because they just wanted to prove something.
Yeah, and I agree. They didn't. Both teams didn't really have that much to lose. Marquette, especially coming in with the losing record, but they were definitely. This definitely hypes them up and helps them, because so far the Golden Eagles are 3-3 in the month of February, and it always seems that this program falters near the end of the regular season. And why do you guys think that is?
I would say it's two things. One, fatigue, playing in the Big East. It's a very underrated conference, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but it's a very underrated conference. You have some very tough teams, so when you're consistently playing against these top teams that will grind it out each and every game that you play, I mean, there's fatigue there. But I also think it's talent as well. They're not a program, yes, they're a top program in the country, one of the top, but they don't get like 5-star recruits, you know what I mean? So when you have those 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, those are the type of players that'll help take you from the beginning of the season to the middle, to the end, to the postseason, to tournament time. And they just haven't had that, so I think that's why they've really stumbled toward the end of the seasons.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, when we get to this point of the season where, we're talking about how Marquette's going to do in the Big East tournament and what they're going to do in the NCAA tournament. Well, this year we're talking about, will they even make the NIT, which is something when you're at Marquette, that shouldn't be happening. I mean, their goal should always be making the NCAA tournament, and just this year, they can just name this season as a disappointment as a whole. I'd kind of disagree with you, Matt. I don't even think if they win the rest of their games, besides Big East championship, that they would make the tournament.
Now that's a disappointment right there.
Matt, what do you think about that? What do you think?
I respect that. They're a losing team, absolutely. I just think it would get interesting at that point. They got Uconn, DePaul, Xavier left. Uconn and Xavier, I believe, would be 2 quad 1 wins. They should have beat Uconn earlier in the season. They should have beat a lot of other teams early in the season. So I would respect that. I think it would get interesting, at least. That's what I'll say. But Andrew, to your point, the Big East is a very competitive conference. It's a conference full of teams that tend to score a lot of points. And I'll say about their play later in the season, good teams later in the season are playing their best. And teams that are playing their best take advantage of mistakes. And Marquette, we've said it on this show a lot, the big mistakes they make are turnovers. And we see as they get later in the year, they commit more and more turnovers because other teams are more focused. They come ready to play. I mean, a couple years ago with Marcus Howard, they would commit 20-plus turnovers in the last few games of the regular season. So it's a combination of bad coaching, bad preparedness, and just other teams getting better at the late in the season and taking advantage of Marquette's mistakes.
Yeah, and I agree. And Marquette has always been such a great team early on. This year they had a great start. They beat Wisconsin. That was a great win. And then towards the end of the season this year, and we've seen in the last couple of years that they haven't been good. So Andrew, what do you think is the reason for, do you think fans get too invested early on and then they get disappointed at the end of the season? What can Marquette do to keep that consistency going?
Well, like I said before, I think it starts with recruiting because, you can only do so much with a group of players that are 3-star, 2 stars. You saw even last year, Marcus Howard, he was pretty much the team. So he tried his best, trying to work around just carrying this team. But overall, when you play in the Big East and you play teams more than once, teams make adjustments and they realize Marquette's weaknesses. So you cannot make your weaknesses so known as Marquette. And I feel like throughout the season, you have to know what your weaknesses are. So when you play those teams a second time, you can fix them before they realize what's going on.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it just doesn't work out. In 2018, you had a prime Marcus Howard, you had the Hauser brothers, you had a really solid roster, but then, they fall off towards the end of the year. They still make the tournament, but then you run into John Morant, who is turning into an incredible young player in the NBA.
He was great that
so
year.
Sometimes the chips don't fall where you need them to.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you think? Yep.
The one thing I will say is, just from watching the games, I could tell you, the one thing, obviously, like you said, Matt, is the turnovers. If I was a coach coaching against Marquette, I would just put a press on against Marquette the whole game because they'll turn it over. And then I would run a zone because they can't shoot the ball. They're so consistent shooting the 3 ball. They saw last night they were shooting the ball pretty well, but they'll have games where they just can't hit anything. So
and they used to, hit all their threes. Back to the Marcus Howard, Andrew Rousey days, they used to score 80 points a game, but that's just not the case anymore.
Yeah, and that's just me watching the game. So if I was a coach and you play them twice a year, that second time you're playing them at the back half of the season, I mean, you have a game plan for them right away.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see at the end of the season if they can finish it out strong. I mean, hopefully they can end with a winning record. I don't know if they'll go to the tournament, Matt, but thank you guys so much for another great discussion. We're out of time, but be sure to tune in next week for all of our coverage of Marquette sports and more. For Ava Mares, I'm Kristen Parisi. Good night, Marquette.